If we look at the recent occasion where the USA and Israel expected to bring the regime change after the death of the Ayatollah Khamenei, if we will talk about its background history, it's quite different. In the time in the era of Shah 1953, when the Shah stood against the Western world, that he said that they control the media, they control the governments, they control the institutions, and they control the people, they control the countries. When he talked about this kind of stuff, that the regime change also took place at that time against the Shah dynasty, against the Shah government. And after a very few years, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran in 1979. After that, with the period of 50 to 40 years, Ayatollah Khamenei survived and the Islamic Revolution took place in all over the Iran. After that taking place, the Iran policy was became strict on Islamic rules, and that policy went to that extreme level that they stood against the Western world. After that Western world, the foreign policy of the USA and foreign policy of the UK, Europe, and Israel, they claimed that it is totally against of us. After that, after a very long period of time, that many wars happens. In the late 2025, the target was the country was targeted. The country was presumed to be targeted. Their supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei. After that target, the most of the generals were killed or murdered in that attack in Iran. But after a few days, it was known that Ayatollah Khamenei was survived. The foreign ministers of the Iran, the president of the Iran also survived, but their military officers were targeted. But the main target was not achieved. So the Israel and USA basically wanted to bring the regime change in Iran because of their interest to bring the regime change, to take the stand against the Iran, to bring that kind of government which is advantageous to their foreign policy. But after late 2025, after that attack on February last, 28 to 29th February, the USA CIA traced the Ayatollah Khamenei that he is living in his home with his family. They bombed his house, and Ayatollah Khamenei was killed or murdered in his house. After that confirmation, the USA and UK expected the USA and Israel expected to be brought a big change for the in the Iran, to bring a regime change in the Iran in for the sake of for the interest of Shah dynasty, for the interest of the Shah bloodline. But it went totally against of their vision, because they expected that there will be instability in the military of the Iran, in the military troops of the Iran. There will be instability in politically, economically, and geographically, and regime change will come in the Iran. But none of these things happened. Even though those expectations went unreliable, and even though on all over the Iran, red flags were raised for the revenge. After these red flags raised for the revenge, Iran fired hundreds and thousands of ballistic missiles on daily basis all over the world. Even though Iran fired the many ballistic missiles towards the Europe, Iran fired hundreds of ballistic missiles on air bases, on military bases, all over the Middle East, just like Jordan, Egypt, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, Jordan, like Israel, naval military ships, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, all over those military bases. Iran fired the ballistic missiles and brought a lot of destruction in their bases. After their destruction, the Israel in response fired many ballistic missiles on their mountains and tried to uh, destroy their hidden air bases in the mountains. But a lot of analysts also claimed that they were not missiles fired by the Israel, but they were the nuclear tests done by the Iran under the mountains. After those nuclear tests, um, the China and Russia also took place in those kind of wars, and they claimed that they will take direct side of the Iran for the sake of the Iran's sovereignty, because Iran has the right according to the international law to protect its sovereign power, to protect its sovereignty, to protect its integrity. After that, the president of the North Korea also released a statement that there are citizens of the North Korea in the Iran. If one of them is ever injured, there will be a stable, reliable response for their revenge, for the revenge of their citizen. So here a lot of analysts are claiming that this kind of war would lead to the World War III, because the nuclear powers are becoming interested in those kind of wars, and maybe this will be a destructive phase for the humanity. This will be the chaos. This will be the proven reason for the chaos of the humanity. So it's up to you how you will take it, but after that um, that phase which happened in February 2026, it confused the whole world, it confused all the analysts, it confused all the scholars that what will happen, but this kind of wars will lead to destruction of the humanity more than enough what you think about.